Hey everyone, Dan Mortimer with eXp bringing you another weekly real estate market update. My apologies to those that follow these videos. I am behind on getting this out. It's been a bit of a challenging week for me. As you can tell, I don't sound my usual self. I've been dealing with a bad sore throat and fever and just not feeling great this week. So I apologize for getting this out to you a little bit later than usual, but let's go ahead and dive into the data. Bear with me. I apologize if I start sneezing or coughing. I'm trying to get through these takes without having any issues that make the video any lower quality than it can be. So let's go ahead and jump into last week and see where the number stands. So this is with data as of May 19th, 2025. We are blistering through May. Things are heating up a little bit this week weather-wise, but let's go ahead and dive into the data. So in the last week, we had 1,058 new listings that hit the market. There were also 187 properties that came back on the market. For those of you that are new, that means buyer and seller had a contract in place. The property was technically under contract, and for whatever reason, property did not close, so the property goes back on the market. So 187 of those. We had 1,147 properties that had a price decrease of some kind. Again, kind of wide ranges. Could be $1, could be $100,000, anywhere in between. 1,147 of those. Getting into the under contracts, we had 301 properties that went into under contract show status, and another 427 that went into under contract no show status. So you're looking at 728 properties going under contract compared to 1,058 new listings that hit the market. So again, kind of a consistent gap. We've seen about anywhere from, on the low end, maybe 180 to 200. On the high end, in this case, 330 homes that are adding to our rotating supply. We had 618 properties that went into sold status. Deal closed out, money was exchanged, new owners in the property, and we have 84 properties in coming soon status. Which basically means it'll be active on the MLS within 30 days or less, usually quite a bit less, but 84 in coming soon status. So diving into the total active inventory, we are sitting at 6,899 active single family homes on the market. We have 1,532 condos and another 1,088 townhouses on the market. I penciled it out. We're at 9,519 for total active inventory. So in all, I checked the numbers, and there's a little bit of a delay with some of the supply stuff. They usually do that monthly rather than weekly, but we're sitting on about 4 months now. For a long time, we were kind of in between 3 and 4 months. Now we're pretty much right at that 4 months worth of inventory mark. For those of you that want to understand a little bit better how that works, basically you take the number of sold homes in a month and you divide that into our current inventory. You take the active homes, divide it by my sick brain is not doing so well. You take the total number of active homes, divide that by the number of properties selling each month, and that basically gives you a supply, which kind of assumes that if no other homes hit the market, this is how long our current inventory would last. So we're sitting on about 4 months. I would say probably by the time we get to the end of May and we get the numbers for May, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that number well over the 4-month mark. We're definitely getting to a more balanced market. We've had a few challenges in the last week that have really made it more challenging for buyers, mostly the interest rates. I know a lot of buyers are sitting on the sidelines just waiting for something to give, prices and or interest rates. We've definitely seen the prices on a lot of homes, they've definitely been dropping. We're definitely seeing sellers being a little bit more flexible, more willing to work with buyers, willing to give on concessions, paying agent fees, paying for repairs, helping buyers with closing costs. So it's definitely, if you're in a position to buy, for the most part, not every single home is going to be this way, but you are definitely seeing sellers give a lot more on a lot of price and other terms. Just because there's not as much activity in the market. I've been talking to a lot of people that are worried about, well, not necessarily worried about buyers that are thinking, oh, the real estate market's crashing, it's tanking, it's blah blah blah. I will say this: um, the a lot of people like to compare where we're at now with what we saw in 2008. The difference between now and 2008 is in 2008 you had a significant amount of homeowners that had very little equity. They had adjustable rate mortgages that were going up and up and up. And the other challenge that you had was a lot of the loans that people were using to get these homes were on what some people would call bad paper. No income checks, no job application checks, basically not verifying whether or not that buyer had the ability to pay the loan back. That's a lot of what caused the challenges in 2008, why we saw the massive foreclosures and major challenges in the real estate market. Fast forward to today, those checks are happening much more thoroughly. For anybody that's gone through that mortgage process, it's a very thorough process. They get bank statements, they get tax returns, they verify job status, employment, all that stuff. They are very thorough to the point where a lot of buyers get a little bit frustrated in that process because their lender is kind of running them through the paces and trying to make sure that they not only are telling the truth when it comes to their income and job status and all that stuff, but that they also have the ability to make their monthly payments. The other big factor that we have now that we didn't have in 2008 is you have a lot of homeowners. Now, again, people that have bought in the last 2-3 years, not necessarily as much the case, but you have a lot of homeowners, particularly here in Las Vegas, that have built up hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equity. They're not necessarily in a financial pinch, and the ones that are can just sell. They can sell at market value, maybe undercut some of the other homes in their neighborhood and get a strong market value for their home, and they're sitting on tons of equity. In some cases on the low end, $40,000-$50,000. In a lot of cases, it's into the multiple six figures, depending on when they bought their home and how long they've been paying it down. Now, if they got a refinance, or if it's someone in the last few years that bought and maybe they did one of those rate buy downs where their rate's been going up every year for the last few years, there's definitely going to be some cases where homeowners get into a pinch and they need to sell quickly, or maybe they stop making their payments and we see foreclosure issues and things like that. But by and large, I would say probably 70-80% of homeowners, that's not their situation. Like I said, they're sitting on a lot of equity. They're in a strong financial position, even if they're in a spot where maybe things are getting tight for them financially. They have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equity that they're sitting on. So you're not necessarily going to see a wave of foreclosures or anything like that. And anybody that tells you otherwise is, well, not necessarily being honest with you, or they just don't have an understanding of the differences between now and 2008. So I don't necessarily see that happening. I do see a correction that seems to be going on right now with home prices. Buyers are just content to sit on the sidelines. In a lot of cases, while rent can be expensive, it's not necessarily significantly more expensive than buying a home. In some cases, it's cheaper. In some cases, it's about the same. So a lot of buyers seem to be content to sit on the sidelines and wait for something to give, which is not necessarily a bad thing. When things are slow and stagnant, buyers have a lot more leverage. They can, like I said before, they can get a lot of flexibility from sellers on price, closing costs, agent fees, repairs, other terms that come up in the contract. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out, because we are definitely into what is normally our peak buying season. We see the most activity. The school year is coming to an end. A lot of people are wanting to make their plans to sell and buy or get into a home before the new school year starts in late July, early August. So we'll see how things play out and how things progress as we get into the end of May and into the summer months. But very interesting to see. At some point, something's got to give with the interest rates as well. I think that's going to be the biggest factor. Prices will be what they are, but if we see any kind of drop in interest rates, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see a flood of buyers hit the market. So if you have an opportunity to get into a home with a lower interest rate that's well below the current market rate, which is around 7% for FHA, it's about 6 5/8. I'm not a lender, don't quote me on that. That's just kind of what I've seen from some estimates. But once we see something give on that, I think we'll see a ton of buyers hit the market. I think there's a lot of pent up demand, a lot of people that have been wanting to get into a home that have been just waiting for something to give, not necessarily in a tight spot. So very interesting to see. We'll see how things play out as time goes on, but we are getting ready to go into the last week of May. So if you found some value in this video, there's two ways that you can support this channel. The first is the easiest. Hit that subscribe button. You get notifications anytime I post new videos. There's no cost, no obligation or anything like that. Think of it as just like following me on any other social platform. And the second way that you can support this channel is I'll put a link in the description of this video below where you could set up a one-on-one meeting with me. We'll set up a time either over Google Meet, we can go meet at Starbucks or something like that, or just do a quick phone call. But it gives me a chance to get to know you better, for you to get to know me a little bit better, and just to learn a little bit more about your situation and see what I can do to help. So there's no cost, there's no obligation. I'm not going to try to twist your arm and force you into buying or selling or renting or whatever that may be. Just gives me a chance to try to help you out as much as possible. So hope you guys got some value from this video. I will see you next week, and hopefully my voice sounds much better. Appreciate you.